Hello everyone, we are doing a reading on, we're doing the October, the October Global Psychic Predictions. I've been putting it off and putting it off and collecting downloads. There's going to be various parts in October. I did say in this September I will do an additional one, but I actually felt that September mimicked a lot of what I had already predicted for September. And that's why I say go back and watch it. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It doesn't expire, but I don't think anyone they want the fresh out the oven, and it doesn't work that way. I can say that October there will be more because I want to sit and take downloads as opposed to all scrambled all over as well. Now, before I was going to do this, something popped up on my YouTube because I was thinking of like the validations that I've had as well. Okay. And there's been a lot, right? So it really bums me that the channel is really small, because I know if the channel was a lot bigger, anyone else, their videos probably would have been circulated and gone viral, because I don't know if I've seen someone else that's coming up with so much valid psychic predictions, but anyway, that's the way life is at the moment. And the first thing I want to say is, I don't know when you're seeing this, but first week of October, it is better than the last, I want to say 2 weeks, but you can say 2.5 weeks. Okay, so the first week of October, even though we have a partial solar eclipse, and oh my God, how did you all find that? I found the day okay, but the moon then in Scorpio always messes me up. So really bad on the 3rd and 4th. But I'm here, and it is actually the 4th of October. All right. And I started to, but some of these things that I'm bringing forward, I've already had listed since September and are still very valid. So can we just go through some things that have occurred? I said in September, I did warn about floods, weather that was triggered by water. And we had floods and landslides, and I still see landslides big in October. We had floods and landslides in Japan. We had flooding kind of in the UK, not like huge, but a big impact in some towns and cities. We had, from what I just saw, a hurricane called Francine. I don't know where that was, probably in the US. We had the Hurricane Helene. So I did warn, all right. I think Hurricane Helene, I did see a very bad water, extremely bad water. So I don't know how the devastation is, if it's wind and you can see where the flooding's been, or is it just wind and there's no water. But based on my prediction, it's water. There should be movement, although it's a hurricane. There should be evidence of the water, the flooding. And also, while I was going to do this, I was watching something on YouTube, nothing to do with this stuff. And as I was preparing, it was kind of like I always watch stuff and I minimize it and then I scroll my feed. Like I'm just always on doing different stuff. So it came up and it was like Duck supporter, DT supporter, talking about a new t-shirt for all the rallies she's gathered, the 42nd rally basically. And then she said about the devastation of Hurricane Helene and the need for support, or the support is coming out, but I think smaller towns are not getting it. So I understand it's impacted Florida, but has it impacted other areas? And where is Hurricane Francine? The reason I'm saying this is because I'm wondering whether I need to do a reading on Hurricane Helen. Like, is there a problem with support not being granted or something? I don't know. I really don't know. That's all I got of it, because she just happened to mention it. It was mainly about the duck rallies and a 40-second t-shirt. So I am getting an energy, okay? I am getting an energy that in terms of this hurricane, Helen, that, you know, there needs to be love and support for everyone, okay? Love is really important for your neighbor, for everyone that's been impacted on this. A touch of love. A lot of people feel bounded, feel are not able to move, are stuck where they are. They feel like they've lost stuff, and so they just really feel quite helpless at this moment in time. Again, a lot of people are stuck. I feel like there's been quite a few people that, I don't know if there's been deaths. I get that there is, okay. It seems like the devastation is still counting people that might have been injured or deaths or something. So I need to know. Here, there is a confusion from the public as to why they seem to be left in this grief. So I think what I was getting seems to be a bit right. So you'll have to let me know, is there a lack of support? Is there something? Because there is this confusion here, and there is a need for some justice and action to be taken. So those that know about this, you'll have to let me know. A lot of people feel stuck, not able to move, but that's what I'm getting. Okay, so let's continue on to October. My thoughts are with everyone impacted around this. Now, I also want to pull cards on Canada, their president, I think, Trudeau. You know, Elon Musk, we had some validation, by the way, when I said about satellites and stuff. And I think what's been said is Elon Musk has like a couple of satellites where he's like maybe controlling them or something like that. I did mention all the way in August and prior and last year, Hollywood would be cleansed, okay? The new people coming into Hollywood are going to be outspoken if they're treated badly, and they need to make sure they don't fall into the dark energy, and they're not going to be fooled as much, the new generation. I think it's because we've changed as a collective, so it's a cleansing. It's not Hollywood will fall totally, that I think a lot of people are saying. Remember, I mentioned there's going to be probably a expiry of a president in the future. This could be anywhere, okay? There's a major loss of a leader. I've seen them in the last year, in the different quarters of this year. And again, I mentioned, I don't want to mention, like, so I'm not linking it to that part, but duck needs protection even in October all the way until next year. I'd say end of April, May, big times. UK, I feel, are the same time as the US elections. UK are going to be really triggered about something. So it's going to be kind of like, you know, the whole elections is going on, there's pressure, there's tense, and then the UK there's something that triggers the UK. I'm not saying tying into this. I do want a reading on, I do want to do a reading on Israel, Lebanon, Iran, but let me know in the comments if you're interested. I just feel like a lot of people are not interested, and Palestine, of course, sorry, I forgot Palestine. But that is really ramping up. When Iran gets involved, it's a big ramp up, and I predicted this when they started the Palestinian genocide. I was like, how comes Iran is very silent? That is scary, and why aren't they coming forward? But these countries are really standing with humanity, whereas there's certain countries that are not talking because they want to remain allies with is. Okay. I mentioned in past readings about electric wallets, and I think they will be clamping down on that a lot more. So try to use cash. I did see that there was a, what was it, a data breach, which I predicted September. There's going to be data, cyber. There was a data breach with MC2 and a risk of fraud of like 1 million people. I also predicted the electric cars. They're trying to push them, but it's just people don't want them. And I saw something crop up saying the car sales of electric cars is stalling. I mentioned in October, and I think in September as well, the whole weather manipulation, the geoengineering, and I think UK, I'm not sure, might be starting to get a bit of a hint on what I mentioned, not because I've mentioned it, but because just like coming to the forefront on this. So I see a bit more of that, of people awakening to it. I do see in October and onwards, and I would say this is into November, I think we are looking at more strikes, protests, where it's to do with work and people. And this could be in masses, because I know that the US, I think, is there a port strike again. I predicted the trade of food, shipping. There's going to be some strike, going to be issues there. So that is coming through, and I still see a little bit more. And I do see, I see energies of split between work and organizations, and then humans, like the protests of money, etc. Now, we need to be honest. Our times are not like before. Demanding a 70% or 50% increase or whatever to come back to work is probably a bit hard. I don't know what's happening there, but that is that. Let's go back. I did mention the currency, and I still see it. Currency changes in the economy, and I think the UK is one that I really see in terms of this. It could include some of euro. I do think we still need to take care of our health big time. Germs and also cross-contamination from animals. I don't necessarily mean like, can you remember mad cow disease? I mean, like, for example, more like two elements: your health in terms of probably a virus, germs, and something. And then again, something around, and I won't be surprised if this ramps up near to the election, okay? And I'm not saying it's only going to be in the US, I'm talking worldwide. I'm just being reminded about India and the rice fields there. And again, I can see rodents. I don't know. It was something that was coming up in the past prediction, and it's just come to me again. But the virus, and again, the cross-contamination. So, like how it's like salmonella or something's going to be pulled up on that. Now, Spirit is just reminding me that Sainsbury's, I'd mentioned about a food stop being pulled off. Again, the issues around food off the market, and apparently I'm seeing Sainsbury's. It might be another market, and in your country it might be another market, that had to pull a certain food off the shelf because of it not being good or something. I've mentioned Turkey, and I do think the Turkish president will be in focus. There'll be something around the president of Turkey. I do fear China. So I know there's always the rumblings. I've mentioned it in the past, and it might not be always, but I think China and Taiwan. But China being quiet is scaring me, and I think we're going to see movement or him speaking. His energy, the president or whatever role title is, he seems very angry in this October energy. So I wonder what he is going to come up with. Trump's security I've mentioned. Okay. I think AI, again, there's going to be a lot of, you know, doubles of AI. And one of the readings I wanted to do, it's actually a member's question. I've just remembered it's not a reading, it's a member's question. Or it's something that I wanted to do as a question for the members and patrons is, I feel like there's more people that are using time and space and AIs to be the double. And I think we're going to see that more increasing. So interesting. Remember, if you want me to pull cards on any of this, let me know. I've mentioned last year about the whole sea and the seabed, and that there's going to be like man-made creatures that go and clean the seabed or the pollution. And I think in August and September, I said, still, I see that some of the sea, whatever's in the sea is going to be like, for example, a fake dolphin or something. And why I say dolphin is because I'm getting to that, spy. And what I saw as a thumbnail is that there's been a seawater dolphin, and they think it's a spy from Russia. How true that is, I don't know. But I had seen that in August, September, and I'd seen a lot of that kind of stuff in last year going forward. Harry is very lonely and isolated, Prince Harry, in terms of his energy. I'll be doing a reading on that. The third week, okay, and the second and third week of October, something is being revealed, okay? Something we didn't see. And it could be like health, pandemic, disease, and it could be from October into the next 6 months, okay? This is going to be around the third week. I'd say from the second and third week onwards. I still see something big with pharma and health, and maybe also what we've been eating, what we've been ingesting coming into focus, okay? I think some people have been affected by the eclipse on an individual level. Remember in the past readings, I was getting the bluebird, and I mentioned this could be Twitter or X. We definitely saw Elon like nearly every day. And I was until late September getting that bluebird coming in for me even more. So I'm going to do a reading on Elon Musk. And if you're interested, let me know. Like I said, I still see landslides. That bluebird vision has eased. So we'll have to see what it is. When I was doing one of the readings, and I think it was Chiron, Chiron Hormone, I was looking at the mapping because I was getting chills around certain areas. And this way, it looked like it was the Cumberland River. And I was following it because I remembered that name from Sebastian Rogers' case. And then when I was doing that, I was getting something like a massive fishbone or a fishbone being found. And there's something about it. It's like either it's dinosauric or it's very old time. There's something about this fishbone. Okay, interesting. I was going to say fishbone. And also, I think there's going to be possibly, so there could be discovery of stuff in the sea, or even a discovery of a sea under some kind of mountain or earth, okay? And a discovery of maybe the old historic like fish species. There's like I could see skeletals, okay? I don't want to do a distraction on Diddy, but it is a distraction. Let me show you how they're testing you. Since Diddy, a couple of days later, there was this mayor in New York brought to the news about being taken down or exposed. That didn't hit big, but it was a test to be hit big. There's something else that's just hit the news as well, or I think it's hit the news. It's basically coming up on my thumbnail. And I was going to mention it, I didn't write it down, and I was like, this is also, I felt that energy is also a test to see if it can be another distraction. So moving a bit away from Diddy. I can tell you someone who's probably happy with all this is Princess Catherine, okay, because she was like the whole thing for a long time. The elections, okay, the elections are very volatile energy. So I'm not putting in more than, if you go to my readings, you probably get a sense of who I feel, okay, and the energy. There is, the numerology supports a woman energy. However, there is other aspects that support a duck, not a duck. And I think I covered this in a separate reading, and that's why it's not fully thingy. It's not fully, I've not got it fully noted here. I think there's going to be, I've put some here to ask the question in the cards, and I can't read my writing. I've put a question and I can't, will be, okay, I might need to come back to this. We've got a lot to cover anyway. Over this next 10 years, we're going to see the rise and the fall of Russia, and then the rise again. So what is that? I'm not sure, but over 10 years. So October's, like I said, when I do it in monthly, it doesn't mean it's only for month October. Things are October moving forward. So even August, some of it might be included, but where I mentioned, like in terms of weather over the last 2 months, they've been very significant to those months. There's a holding back energy, there's a trickery, and I'm not sure if it's around Ukraine, war, I'm not really sure what it is, and I can't read something that I've written here. I think you're going to also see those people you idolize in a different view, in a different way. How you see them is going to change. You know, there's a vision in the future of the US, not now, in the future, that there might be a short span of time where there's 2 presidents running, which is very interesting. Just a very short, it could be something that's happened in the past or in the far future. I do think whoever wins the election, the party that wins, the currency of the US now will fluctuate a little bit, okay, but then it will level out. But because it's remained fairly the same across international as well, there is going to be a bit of fluctuation, okay, there. I do see France and Netherlands coming into the news. Netherlands a lot more than France, Netherlands. So we've got Holland and Netherlands. Again, systems, dark, cyber, even flights. I see some sort of maybe sudden shutdown of those sort of stuff, electronics. Sort of a system, like systems. I don't mean like justice system. I mean like system of booking your flight, cyber attack, just a dark mode for a bit, and then it comes up again. Something about the UK. I do think in the UK we might have a couple of hours or something where, even if it's just 10 minutes, where it seems like there's been a darkened energy, and by that what I mean is like a blackout, but it could be that it doesn't necessarily that all our lights are out. It could be that it's done in fragments, and so you don't quite notice it. There's something around that, like a dark I want to say dark day, but it's not a whole day. And it's not something that you're going to be like in a very bad position about. Okay. I do think that we will start, if you haven't noticed, I do think they are trying to save money by, you'll have to let me know if you've seen this in your town, but I'm getting it as a download. In the UK, certain counties and towns is going round where you might see a certain street that usually has, let's say, 10 street lights, but for a month or something, there's only like 6 on. There's the ones in the gaps that are off. And I think that's a way to save money. And we might be thinking, a lot of people might be thinking, oh, it's just not working, etc. If it still stays quite lit, it's going to remain for a bit of time until they change those bulbs. But basically, it's going to be because of that. I did want to pull some cards on Keir Starmer. I'm thinking to do a separate reading for him. The hypocrisy that he sees. He seems to be in the wrong party. But yeah, I do think there's Netherlands, and there was a corruption of presidency. There's something, the secret, there's something about the public won't be happy about in Netherlands. You have to let me know. Holiday. October, I think is October the month of Diwali? I thought it was November, but I'm seeing that energy, which is bringing light to the dark, which is good for us. A lot of people like Halloween because it's kind of festive. All this energy is clearing for a better world, you know, it's clearing the heaviness so that we have a better world, and we do need to get through it. Israel, like I said in the past, they just want to expand their borders. So they started with Palestine, they're starting with the weaker links, and they're slowly trying to expand their borders. I think if there's anyone in the US, if that could try to stop this, it's going to be Duck. Okay, and I've said this on International Affairs, he's the stronger one in terms of that, but then he needs to ally with but be human in towards other countries to get that message across, or grab by his right hand a little bit with something that could hurt to stop him a little bit. If Duck wins, they are going to do as much as they can to try and stop it. And I've wrote something here, and you're going to be like, oh God, yes, oh God. I think Yemen might come into the focus with I don't know where the borders are, but Yemen is heading into the GCC countries. These countries are very quiet on the thing. They're like looking after themselves, regardless of like other Arab nations that they should ally with, according to, you know, kind of Islam and humanity. You should really ally with your brothers to help in humane things. But again, that's how politics work. But I see Yemen might be a bit of is target at some stage, and they will try to also take down Iran. Allegedly, disclaimer, all my opinion and for entertainment purposes only. So I've mentioned that yeah, Trump can help sort it out, but if he acts from a humane place. Okay, so we've got that. Now I want to go on to, I've still got a little bit more. Let's see where we are in terms of the recording. At least I want to brief on the sectors and get us advice cards if I can't. And then I can go into the rest in the next one. I said it would be long. Okay. Definitely think there's revelations coming in, and that would have been triggered from the eclipse. Something will be revealed. It could be any country, and you're going to be aware, even in terms of our own worlds. Like I said, where somebody you might have idolized someone. Again, there's warnings of weather. There's warning of violence and anger, and we see that in the Middle East. September was a big revelation month, but I think we're still going to have it. I think, you know, there's the storms, we need to look at that. I don't know why I'm getting that. There's been a panic in terms of food, and I'm seeing toilet paper. Could that be with regards to the ports in the US? Has there been anything around that? I don't know if I'm reading September's prediction in this note. I think there's going to be something controversial behind a pope, a guru, a leader. I mentioned that. And also, yes, so this is because I was going to do a second part of September. Look after your neighbor with love, remember. And we are gonna, you know, I think the NHS in the UK, which is the National Health Service, is needing our help. So, you know, there's a lot of mass international taking our money when there's struggle and the NHS is there, and yeah. And then there's the taxpayers that pay for the royal family. I know some people are not going to like me saying that, but I mean, how much do you pay for royalty, really? And you're start struggling to put stuff on your table. There's a question of that, like, when should there be a certain percentage cut off? Keir Starmer is going to be in trouble with something, okay? But they're also going to use him to hide the scandal, as if it's fully him, but it's not fully him. So he's the face of it. But do you know when, like, for example, the public has an outroar and it's a big scandal and they're kind of like, crap, he needs to be the face, the forefront, get him out, pretend it's all him. But it's like, it's a scandal that's happening, like a matrix behind it, like they're all involved, if you understand. His separate reading, I'm going to see if he's still going to do his 4 years, but I'll do it now actually. So that his tenature of 4 to 5 years, will he complete it? As of now, how things look. Okay, so while I was saying, show me the high priestess if he will, Spirit was like, if he won't, if he won't, if he won't. And it's in reverse, okay? So I'm going to ask on this again, because I do have a bit of a psychic download around this. But here there's going to be a massive revelation around that. Okay, so I'm going to ask about that. Let's just check the time, because I think I'm being cautious about the time. We're okay. So I'm going to try and get through the rest. But like I said, 3rd week, October, I definitely think that I need to do another one, okay? Which might be brief, a little bit of more easier downloads, okay? Let's see. Okay, so yeah, so if he won't complete it, how Spirit wanted me to ask, this is, it seems like it's quite volatile at the moment, okay? And I'm going to show you why at the moment. People are not happy, but it's not easy to remove him because of the turbulence we've had, and also who can Labour put in. So yeah, because it's a very much, it's a situation that seems to be ongoing with him. In some sort of way, it's like a situation that's stuck, that's not getting any better. It's actually taking a downward turn. So at this moment in time, it's a bit volatile to get a defiant answer on whether he will complete the 4 to 5 years, which tells me if he brings in something good and fair, he can turn what is happening around. And I felt that prior, but I'm getting that with the energy. So that's Keir Starmer. Okay, I did have a question about Duck and Laura Loomer, if anything happened with them. And I know that I was going to cover this in the Q&A session. So I might leave it for that. Let's get on with the rest of October so then I can find out if I've missed anything and make sure I add it to the next one. Okay, so let's see, everyone. Let's see. I do see Cadbury, by the way, Cadbury chocolate. So it could be something comes up about Cadbury chocolate. I do see like a mountaintop, and the way I see this mountaintop is like a mountain, yeah, and then here you've got the thing of snow, and that's when the mountain color is mainly here. But I don't know what it means when the snow is here, but then have you seen those mountains where there's that red line? This line is jagged. So I don't know if this represents a particular mountain, or it's this significant kind of image that represents something. But this is snow, this is that red line, which makes me think of, like, red Indians, etc. And this is the mountain being shown. So I don't know if Mount Everest, a mountain, is going to come into the news, but the significance for me to see this red line. Okay, I'll probably look at that picture in the future and be like, why the hell did I draw that? Okay, so what else do we have? Downloads. Remember, I mentioned we need to be careful with the violence still and stuff like that. Street lights, I've mentioned. An event in the UK, or triggering in the UK. An event comes up as well around the election, okay, which I've mentioned before in the readings. I think the pound and the euro are going to be a topic, even outside of kind of the currency fluctuation that I see of the pound and its power. There's some kind of topic about that in the future. I think money is a funny thing, don't you think? Some people sit and do nothing and they're like, I don't know, it's a funny energy. I see Iceland in the news as well. Trade in 2025 could be affected, okay? And it's probably because of the new way of the economy that we're going to be handling and dealing. So that's something to look out for. I had a vision of yellow smoke. Now, this could be, the way it looks is, do you know when smoke looks all clouded? So is it a chemical fire? Is it kind of a representing of something? It's kind of yellow smoke. Is it chemicals? Is it pollution? There's something around that. Even it looks like, do you know when they do those events and then they push out smoke of different colors? Well, this is yellow and it looks like it might be chemical fire or something. Cadbury, I mentioned. I think there's going to be eruption in the sea, and maybe sort of something around the military or marine coming into a question or something. Again, I mentioned about the sea, the spying, but I think we also need to protect the sea mammals. There's something there about those as well. And I think we really need to get a replacement for plastic, because I think there's something, I know that we say it's poisonous, but we need to find a replacement for it. So I wonder if something in the future around that is going to come forward. There might be a rise in Russia. There might be a rise of a woman that comes into the news or into government, and that's going to be in the future. I do see, like I mentioned, CC Pin is going to be in the news. He's angry, so I don't know what is going to happen around that. I do see China in the future further. They're going to have a phase when their economy is going to be a lot stronger than the USA for a short period of time. It's going to be a phase. I get the word cannibal, and with that word of cannibal, Texas came to me. So I don't know if that's because of you know, Texas, and I don't know, whatever. But cannibal, the word cannibal, and I think it doesn't just only belong there. I think we're going to see slowly again the reoccurring of visions, aliens, UFOs, that kind of visions coming in. Some of it diversion, but some of it is going to be creatures sent, testing. I also feel like testing as in, you know, anything's possible with God. I've just lost that download and I was going to write it down. Crap, I just lost it. Oh, moon. I think they're playing too much with the moon. The moon has its energy, but I think the inside the moon, it's a lot stronger. And I think there's a lot of playing with the moon that shouldn't be happening. So I don't know what they're doing on the moon or what they're trying to do, diving into kind of prodding in the moon, or if you can go into the moon. I don't know. I know you can go onto the moon, something around that. That might come to the news or not, but it's something being done in secret. Too much man playing is not good. Okay, so to end this part, what I'm going to do is pull some cards. Yeah, I see like a massive melting of ice. Okay, I see like massive melting of ice. Okay, so in terms of our health, again, yeah, exchange germs, just be careful. And it could easily spread through schools, and, you know, through the youngsters as well, commencing around the youngsters, then spreading through schools or larger I really feel around schools. And there was the Knight of Wands here in reverse. I didn't pull it out, but I definitely think, you know, it's easily exchanged, and we just have to be careful with that. Okay, October really brings the significance in terms of really using your discernment between decisions. Don't get lost in distractions. Don't get lost in decisions in terms of maybe, you know, some people are going to be thinking about moving abroad and then they're stopped. It seems like the advice from Spirit is don't get stuck in your insecurities or fears here in terms of taking the next step or moving past into the future. Again, we see the water here. But I also see dry land being significant, and possibly those areas of dry land. I don't know why I see kind of the sand there. Don't be worried. There's a fear here. And also know that you have the power. You have the power to take these discerning decisions around your health, around your stability. It seems like a lot of people are going to be faced with the need to balance aspects of yourself, obligations, and seek harmony, especially when it comes to your material life, the power within yourself, feeling secure within your home, your money, career, and finances. That is the advice for October. So that means that we could be challenged around these things. Okay. The challenges around October is that there's going to be distractions. Okay. So not everything you hear is as significant as it is portrayed. So don't get caught up in that fear. Okay. I asked particularly for the sign, and it gave it to me that some of there's going to be distractions, but some of these you should not be caught in the fear, because it's delivered in a certain way to entrap you, but also it's a distraction for you to turn towards this way, as opposed to look in the opposite way where things are occurring. So don't take everything legitimately 101%. Okay. There could be, I think there's the energy of possibly, like I said, a leader or something. I feel it might go into December time, but there's a feeling also of people feeling not supported by the universe in October a lot more, and we just have to be careful through that. Blessings in October is that you can see little messaging of how our stability might be able to be changed. There is that possibility. It's going to be there's going to be more of a messaging now around nurturing, as opposed to bang on the heads, this is what needs to be done. You're going to see inklings of messagings around long-term plans, and that comes from actually being connected to human. So it's not going to be like hierarchical that are pretending they've got long-term plans. But this is not at the most solid stage. I just don't like when two. So I'll take two for each one. And I forgot which ones. Oh, okay. Here we've got these energies that are going to be significant in October. The main challenge around these two energies, which actually came out in reverse, okay, which is scarcity. It's the fear. It's feeling there's not enough to go around. Remember what I said in terms of shipping, trade, the lack of fear, distraction. This is being in that energy. If I usually don't do upside down, but I feel it's significant. There's a lack of, there's not enough for us, okay? And it's feeling lonely and isolated in terms of what you are in, okay? So that could be a challenge we face. And I think it's a lot around some of us being tested around our mental health. I think some of us are going to struggle with a bit of depression in October. October is beautiful because you really feel the shift into autumn if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. I prefer sun, but I like the change into orange. There's a shift. You feel a real shift. September begins that, but you really feel that change, that crisp of the energy in October. Our blessing is to look at things from a starting point of view. to understand life is speeding up, things are clearing out for a new way of living, getting rid of this old hierarchical kind of Capricornian energy here. That is our blessing. So it's speeding up. It could be triggering this as well. Start to look at life from a beginner's mind. Okay, look how beautiful this porcupine is with like Indian feathers and the blue mask here. So have fun as well. Don't get attached to watching stuff all the time. So that's what we have for October part 1. Remember, August was great. I got a lot of support then. Then the views went down in September. But if you look at my predictions, you know that they're good to follow, aren't they? Yes, they are. And yes, I won't always be right. Okay, so I'm a very humble person, and I'm a believer in God. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed this. Stay blessed, and let's see what we do on the 3rd week, what we get. And remember, if you want follow-ups of this, please do support, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.